and from all walks of life, because everyone has a story to share and we can all learn from each other. I hope you enjoy listening. Well, today I'm with 𝐦𝐢𝐥𝐞, who is known as the CEO Confidant. He is an influencer, a LinkedIn strategist, an international TV host, a public speaker, a CEO consultant, a board member, and a philanthropist. In the last 21 years, Angel has helped more than 1,500 CEOs in 33 different countries to accelerate the growth of their businesses. He was born near Barcelona, and he has lived in 8 countries and speaks 5 languages. Accomplished entrepreneurs and corporate CEOs hire Angel to bridge the gap globally for expansion and exposure to grow their businesses. Angel sits on the board of the Evolutionary Business Council, an organization with more than 350 global transformational leaders with a combined reach of over 600 million people. Angel is based in Texas, and in early 2017, he launched his international foundation, Wisdom for Kids. He has helped more than 1,000 underprivileged kids in Latin America become entrepreneurs using local resources. Based on these strong values and principles, Angel has become a respected US and Latin American business leader and influencer. So Angel, thank you so much for taking the time to meet with us today and let us learn more about you. I would like to start by asking you, how was it growing up in 8 different countries and learning 5 different languages and being exposed to all those different cultures?
Thank you. Well, I would say it was fun. I mean, it was an adventure, right? I think that probably the beginning of my journey started when I was a kid still in Spain, and I was learning French when I was in school, and then my school teacher told me to help him with a field trip to France, a 2-week field trip to France, and that was really an adventure, both organizing it and making all the phone calls and going there, and then later on. Actually, while I was learning French, at the same time, I was going to a private academy to learn English. And then in the 80s, I went to the UK. I spent the summer in the UK, and that allowed me to speak English also in a decent level. So I think that really foreign languages was the beginning of the journey. When I was in college, I was the president of an organization, a student organization, international student organization. And that allowed me to actually travel to different countries as well, and to have grants and scholarships while I was actually studying my first master's degree. And then in the 90s, I decided to move away from Spain and for good, and I moved to the UK. And really, obviously I've been back just to visit my family, but I think that's probably the reason why I have had a lot of opportunities, and I always would take them. Although sometimes people ask me, "Hey, Angel, if you could talk to your younger Angel, what would you tell him?" Right? Because everything that we read on paper, it sounds amazing, but what would you tell your younger you, right? And I always say the same thing. Actually, I would suggest my younger Angel to go and take more risks. To be honest,
more risks.
Yeah, more risks. I'm a pretty adventurous guy, but I would advise, hey, don't play safe. Be open to hear what happens around you. Be open to embrace other opportunities, as far as they're legal and healthy, right? But yes, keep on opening yourself to opportunities, because I think that we are, there's so many lessons that we are being taught by so many people at the same time when we are children. Mm-hmm. that we really don't pay attention enough to our heart and to who we really are. And not only that, I think that even today, I have 3 kids. When I share these kind of things with my kids, they tell me, "Oh, we're so cringy, Dad. What are you talking about? Come on, this is not popular. This is not what the kids talk about." And you see the disconnect, you see the gap, Lanie, and that's dangerous. Unfortunately, that's dangerous, right? So
you're trying to tell them to follow their heart and follow their passion, and they're not really agreeing with that.
Yeah, they might, but they have other ideas. They talk to their friends, and they're more concerned about fitting in and being part of something that is around them at that time, and they don't want to be like thinking about things that their friends are not thinking about. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So our educational system does not help our kids to be different, but rather to be all the same and to go through the same teachings and to go through the same lessons and exams and tests, you name it. And I would love to see, I mean, obviously there's great teachers out there, and I have plenty of teachers in my family, but we still have a long way to go in order to make sure that the kids, every single kid finds what they are here for.
I love that. I so believe in that. And I agree with what you're saying about the schooling system, because they don't let them be themselves. They're just told what they can and can't do, and you have to follow this rule. And I had heard somebody saying, like, to look at the child and just, what are you going to be? What are you going to become? What are your passions? Like, if we were doing that from when they were really little and just trying to hone that in, like, you were born unique, you have a special talent, maybe many special talents, but you're unique, and also like love of self. And I feel like that isn't taught. Yeah. So you're right. You're right on. Yeah. So what would you, since we're talking about education, I mean, what would you like to see different with that?
Yeah, I would like to see that, number one, not everybody is suggested to do the same thing. That's the first thing, so that I think that the educational system should make sure that it's different for everybody.
Yeah.
And again, I'm sure that if we had this conversation, I don't know if you are a teacher, but if we had this conversation with a teacher,
Mm-hmm.
I think that they would agree that
Mm-hmm.
they definitely want the best for every single kid, right? And they want to see that kid thrive in their lives and have a successful life, whatever that means for everybody. But I think that we should be more like making sure that not everybody tries to fit in, but rather everybody tries to be who they really are, try to go inside themselves, try to go inside their hearts, to express themselves freely as they really would like to express themselves, not try to make everybody go through the same kind of things. I think that's the main thing. Like,
yeah.
And also respecting and valuing the differences as opposed to trying to be all kind of the same. So if someone is doing something different from what the others are doing, that person is the weird one, right? That person is, oh, come on, this is not what you should be saying or doing. And I think that's wrong. I think that we should all making sure that we give the importance to everybody's talents and gifts, as opposed to trying to make everybody look the same or think the same or learn the same.
Exactly. And I've always thought it would be really nice in school if they would have a more emphasis on the social, about getting along with each other. Like, that should be like a curriculum in itself instead of just math. And I've always felt like, like when they go out and they're interacting with each other and they're having fights or whatever, if they have a disagreement, I would always love for them to come back in and discuss it as a group of how to deal with it and what would be the best way to accept people for who they are, and not feel like we all know what is the right thing. Because I don't know, there's just so many things, but I would absolutely love if that was part of the curriculum, hopefully in the future.
Sometimes online there's people that show a picture of a classroom layout like 100 years ago and compare it to today, or maybe to 60 or 70 years ago, and there's many classrooms today that the layout is almost the same. It's almost the same. And guess what? Are the parents of these kids doing the same thing today than 100 years ago or 60 years ago? Of course not.
Right.
It's completely different. Are they and do they used to work the same as they work today? Do they have the same things to do in their lives as they have today? No. Everything has changed. So I wonder why the educational system hasn't changed along with the needs of the parents and the needs of the kids, both. Yeah. And also, if you think about it, in any school district or a school system in the country or even in the world, who learns social skills? Maybe the ones that are in trouble, right? The ones that as a punishment, they have to learn social skills because they have to, they have to be under certain, accommodations different from the rest of the students. This is exactly what's happening today. So the social skills are taught only to the kids that maybe they have had some problems and behavioral problems, and then they have to learn social skills. And in reality, again, are the parents today paying the same kind of attention to their kids as they used to do it before? Of course not. And also, we are more distracted as parents, more distracted than before. We have less and less and less time. We have more obligations, more things to do. So again, why the education and every single lesson that has to be learned, why don't those things change around the changes in society? I don't know.
I know. And then just two more things that came to mind on that is I feel like they should listen to the kids and let the kids speak and learn instead of just being told. Like, it should be the children have things to teach us too. So there should be a time when they get to discuss things, not just being told this is the only way that it's done. Because there's obviously a million different ways to do something. So I hope that changes too.
Yes, and it's a fine balance, right? I mean, it's a balance between what you would, you want the kids to thrive. Well, first of all, you want the kids to survive, right?
Right.
Otherwise, you're a bad parent, right? And then you want the kids to thrive, and then you want the kids to learn, and then to defend themselves and to be able to live in a world that's going to probably not be very fair, blah, 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 you name it. There's so many things that we want them to learn. And we have to find this balance between making sure that you allow your kids to speak and at the same time become kids who are respectful,
right,
coming from the heart, and
yes, and
also embracing the other ideas or the ideas from other people around them. It's a balance, but that's why that's why it's funny, but very often for my clients, or to my clients, actually, I suggest them very often. I tell them, hey, do you have kids, or have you ever had kids, or have you thought of having kids? Because having kids, it's an incredible experience from the perspective of having to adapt and having to take in other ways of seeing life, right? Very often we just underestimate, or we just not consider properly the ideas that come from our kids. It's just what it is. No, you're a kid, you don't know anything about life. Why should we be paying attention to you? The reality is that actually, the younger they are and the more spontaneous and genuine and authentic they are, the more we should be listening to them. Again, as far as they don't hurt anybody,
right,
let's listen to them, and let's try to really tell them and show them that they have to listen as well. Because when we tell them, I mean, if we recorded our life with a kid like for 1 year, what would be the number one word that would be the most repeated?
It's not sad. That's probably no. Yeah.
No, it's probably no. It's probably no. It's no. It would be really interesting to record it and to see what we do. Actually, you can do that one day and see, today there's so many tools, free tools out there that analyze. You put a string of words, and then this system will analyze for you. Yeah. Exactly. So, I mean, just the other day.
That would be a good parenting process to do and see what you're doing. Mm-hmm.
Check, exactly. Like, let's say, I don't know, Fridays keep the parents on check.com kind of thing, And then on Friday, every single parent, you're given a tool in which you can record everything that you tell to your kids when you are with them. And then you just upload that recording to that website, and the website tells you what were the words that you use the most. Let me tell you something. Now that we speak about this, I use a video platform to communicate with my prospects and my clients. I love video, and I communicate well with video. And just a couple of weeks ago, they incorporated a new artificial intelligence tool. And when actually from the videos, the system transcribes the videos, so you have the captions, the automatic English captioning. And just 2 weeks ago, they incorporated what's the tone of your video. So it tells you the good words that you use, if you are being persuasive, if you're being disrespectful, everything. So, Lanie, be careful, because everything is already taken care of. So everything can be analyzed today.
Yeah.
No wonder. I mean, even Facebook has started a few weeks ago to automatically caption the videos for you.
Yeah, I think I saw that. Yeah. I'm like, it's fantastic. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, exactly. It's cool, but it's but it's you know it's not only you, right?
It could be invasive.
Everybody. What are they doing with that? You know, that's the thing. What are they doing with that?
I know.
That's the thing.
I so agree with you. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Do you feel that being exposed to these different cultures then gave you like a greater understanding of people?
Yes, because every culture has different values, has different ways of conducting themselves. And I think that when you are, when you are traveling constantly and you have to make a positive impact, you are obliged to be on an uncomfortable place all the time, most of the time, right? And you have to be very cautious about what you say, what you don't say. So just being on the fence and listening more than usual, and watching and analyzing more than usual, that puts you in a much better place, because you have to actually be more reflective. You have to be more in the waiting side. When we're very, very often told that we speak much more than what we listen to, it's the exact same thing. No wonder. This happens all the time. We speak much more than what we listen to. So when you have to go to places where they speak different languages, where they have different cultures, when they behave differently, when they think differently, then all of those things just become part of yourself. And as I very often say, now because you're asking me the question, but I very often say that the reason why I like so much to be interviewed is not only because of the exposure that you gladly give me as an viewee, it's because I like to be interviewed, because I discover what they really know. I discover what they really know, because you don't really know everything that you know unless someone asks you, right? Did you ever think about it? So no. It's really interesting, and it's fascinating also, obviously, to be the host, because you are completely into that conversation and you're trying to inspire your audience with those stories, right? So many different things, but yeah, it's the conversations are really, really powerful, Lanie.
Tell me, what countries have you lived in?
So I lived originally in Spain. I lived in France. I lived in Finland. I lived in what else? I lived in the UK. I lived in Cuba. I lived in Mexico. I lived in the US now. There's what else? I think. Oh, I lived in the Czech Republic and in the Slovak Republic.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So I actually lived in 3 different communist countries while they were still communist. So that was extremely interesting. That was quite an experience. Going from a capitalistic country to a country that was still communist in the 80s, and that was really a big, massive experience to see how those countries were conducting themselves. That was something really, really powerful. And I right now there's not this many communist countries in the world, not many. But I would really encourage everybody to go, because that's really that's a massive impact in your life and the way you see things around you.
The lack of freedom. Is it the lack of freedom?
The lack of freedom, the lack of resources,
Okay.
And also it's those systems are supposed to be like egalitarian kind of thing, but they really are not. So there's a few people, a very small amount of people that has a lot, and then there's the vast majority that has almost nothing, and everybody has almost nothing. So that was really painful. I remember going to the butchers, and most of the week there was only butter, literally only butter, and people were lining up just to buy butter. They didn't have meat. Most of the week. I think there was only one day a week that they would have they had the opportunity to buy meat. So yeah, you can't imagine. You really can't imagine. Yeah. I think that there's been not enough movies out there showing what was happening in communist regimes before, so that people really have a better idea and better understanding of what that really represents on a daily basis.
Yeah. Wow. That's fantastic. What did you want to be when you grew up?
Oh, that's a great question. I didn't really know who I really want to become. I just knew when I was a kid, when I was younger, I just knew that probably was going to live somewhere else outside of Spain because of the languages, and also because I always thought, oh my God, this Spain is so disorganized. I would like to live in a Nordic country where everything is really, you know, very well organized and people are very thoughtful and they really take care of each other and everything. I really thought about this. Then when I went to college, I made a big mistake. I picked as my main master's degree computer engineering, and I finished it. But I have to confess that after the second semester, I realized that that wasn't for me. I chose computer engineering because I was really in computers when I was in high school. But one thing is to excel in computers in high school. Another thing is to take a full 5-year degree, as it used to be in Spain, 5-year degree. Oh my God, that was difficult. The good thing was that as I was progressing, the subjects were less related to computer themselves and more like generic and more interesting. So actually, throughout my career, I eventually liked the different, you know, subject matters that I was learning and the different credits I was taking. But in the beginning, oh my God, I so easily and fast quickly realized that wasn't for me. And I like much more the business administration that I took after that. That was much better. So I really didn't have a specific idea. I never said I want to be a doctor, I want to be an engineer, I want to be a business person. I just knew for some reason I would be surrounded by kids. And it's funny how I have 3 kids, but I eventually, you know, ended up working with my foundation with Wisdom for Kids and helping kids in Latin America. So I knew inside of me I would end up working with kids systematically. That I knew. But apart from that, really nothing.
Yeah. But do you feel, looking back, like having your degree, did that give you like a really good base for business and for understanding things?
Yeah, it did, because, well, first of all, it's funny how my 20-year-old, he always says he decided not to go to college. But he always said the only reason why I would go to college is to have fun. That's the only reason. You know, so I don't care how much the college is going to cost you, right? But, you know, I just want to have fun. And probably I had fun. But I have to say that the kind of companies I work with, I work with, you know, high-tech companies. Probably I was able to understand much better what I was doing at those companies because of what I learned in the beginning.
Absolutely.
So I was always talking with engineers, computer engineers, and working with computer engineers all the time. And I would always tell them, hey, you take care of the technical side of it. I will do the business development. I will do the sales. I will do the conversations, but please don't ask me to learn this because I will never learn it. And I really don't want to do it. I leave that to our clients and prospects and you to teach them.
Yeah. Very good.
Absolutely.
Did you say you got your master's degree in the UK?
No, I had 2 master's degrees in Spain, both of them. One was computer engineering and the other one was business. I moved to the UK. That was in the UK was the first time that I left, like to live outside Spain, like for good. It was in the 90s when I said, okay, I'm going to take that position. I went to work with that, you know, multinational company. It was an American high-tech company based out southwest of London, excuse me. And that was the first time that I said, it was very clear to me that probably I'm not going to go back to Spain, probably. So the other places where I lived before going to the UK were, you know, several months. And I was always like extending my stays. I always liked what I was doing. You know, it was an experience. I mean, all those international experiences were rough sometimes. Again, were rough because, I mean, I remember living in a youth hostel when I went to France, for instance. Oh my God, it was so difficult. It was the winter. I was cold. I didn't like the food at all. I didn't have anything in common with the people in the youth hostel because it wasn't any tourists. It was all locals, and they would all have these different jobs, you know, and nobody would be working at that specific company I was working with. I felt really lonely, and that youth hostel wasn't good at all. But you know, I survived, you know, and everything is positive at the end of the day. You know, you learn to value things in your life, And I think that's really, really important.
Yeah. So that was a good experience, even though it was hard.
That was, yeah, exactly. That was hard, but it was a good experience. I worked for it was a large automotive company. They were making, the seats for several French made, cars. Again, I mean, if we really knew what is behind every single object that we use every single day, wow, we would be fascinated. Every single object that we use every single day, there's so much engineering and thought and concept and creativity behind it. There's so many stories and so many people making a living out of this that we would be thrilled. And I was really blessed of having the possibility to learn all this throughout my life.
I like that, because that's such a great perspective, and it's true. We don't ever really think about that.
Yeah, you're sitting in a chair. What has had to happen before the chair got delivered to your home, right?
Yeah.
And the same with your camera, the same with your mic, the same with your lights, right? I mean, there's so many things that we take for granted.
Yeah, so we need to be more appreciative.
Yeah, on top of that, we need to be more appreciative. Yeah, everything, even every single jewel that we use, right? And the watches and everything. There's a process behind them, and someone has taken a lot of time to figure out how to do it in a good way, so they could sell those products. And we bought those products, so we were convinced that those were the right products for us. Yeah, I mean, that's why there's so many things that we don't know, right?
Yeah.
And that's why those conversations are so powerful, Lanie, because you get to have a different conversation with every single person, and you don't know where that conversation is going to go. It's just a matter. It's the power of a question. Questions are so powerful, so powerful.
That's a really good point. Thank you for sharing that. Now, I just want to ask you, because you touched on Spain and you said you felt it was kind of like a disorganized government. So do you still think that that's kind of the way it's run, Spain?
Yeah, I mean, if you compare Europe, I would say there's nationalities, there's countries that are known for being better organized than others. Let's say that the south of Europe in general, the countries tend to be more like anarchic kind of thing. So there's not all the procedures and the things are not easy to get accomplished. So for any government process that you need, for instance, here in the US, everything is extremely easy. You want to have your own company, you can do that in one day. In most of the countries in Europe, it's much more difficult than that. It takes many days, if not months. And then when I was living in Spain, and I left Spain for good in the 90s, there were still a lot of things that were not really working very well. But it's the same again. It's the same in Italy. It's the same in Greece. It's the same in probably many parts of France. It's the same in Portugal. It's many different places. And there was this very big difference between those countries and, for instance, Germany or even the Nordic countries, where people are more organized. That people and understand the processes and things that you have to do when you deal with the government, and everything are much easier to undertake, are much easier to embrace, and that's why I think that I don't know where I got this perfectionism at that time, because it's funny how right now the main mantra I share with my clients is take imperfect action now. Take imperfect action now. That's my main mantra now, because I think that by taking action, there's a huge value in taking action and knowing what happens when you do. And I think that was unfortunately that was a blind spot when I was a kid, or when I was the young angel. But again, everything happens for a reason, and again, I think that we should be taught in the school to take in many more things that happen around us, including the possibilities. When you're offered a possibility, hey, if it feels good, take it.
I like that. Yeah, don't be afraid. And so what you're saying is, like, when you're advising like a business, you're saying don't worry about making the perfect decision, just make a choice and see what happens and follow.
Exactly. Totally.
Okay. Yeah.
Totally.
I agree. And yeah, I think that we do make people feel like children, feel like you're going to make a mistake, or you're going to do that wrong, or you're going to be in trouble. I mean, that is something we need to change, so they're not afraid to try something and not worry about what people think of them. that too. So yeah.
Exactly. I agree. And also when, for instance, when we work with someone, right, we always have someone that is supporting us in our business. It's very important also to be able to articulate that message that, you know, if you make a mistake, it's okay. All right. So don't worry. I'm not telling you that you will not do your job properly. What I'm telling you is that it's good to make mistakes. Okay. And whenever you make a mistake, it's okay. And for instance, I have a team, and we have a pretty decent size, outreach. I mean, we have tens of thousands of people following us and reading our posts every day and every week. And sometimes they were afraid in the past of maybe, oh my God, are we going to post this? Are we going to say this? I have copywriters, designers, video editors. And I always tell them, hey, put it out there. What's the worst thing that can happen? That we have to take it down? It's okay, you know. I mean, just be compassionate with yourself, just so that you know you have the license to make mistakes. I'm giving you the license to make mistakes, okay? And from now on, don't worry about the mistakes you make. I'd rather have you make mistakes and be adventurous with the decisions that you make in the business. So we try new things than doing the other way around. Playing conservative is never going to take you anywhere to explore new pathways.
Yeah. Marvelous. Marvelous. I love that. Well, so I would say you have an innate ability to connect with people. Do you feel like that? Like ever since you were young, you felt comfortable talking to people? And
not all the time. That's a great question. No. Had you known me when I was probably until 18 or 19, I was so shy, really. Like, I remember like really kind of blooming when I started having, you know, some responsibility in college, taking care of an international organization. Because before that, oh my God, I mean, I still remember we were organizing when I think it was in high school, we were organizing these fundraisers, and we would go to a nightclub, like non-alcoholic nightclub, right, to organize parties to raise funds. And I remember we were two schools organizing this. I was on a male-only school, and there was this other female school. So together, those two, you know, a group of high school students from both schools, we would organize this. Oh my God, I was so shy. I mean, I don't remember asking any of the girls to dance with me. And we were all, I mean, every single Friday we would be at that, you know, dancing floor dancing. And I honestly, I mean, I don't remember ever asking any of the girls to dance with me. And I eventually became, I mean, I love dancing. I'm a super dancer. I mean, dancing is such an integral part of my life right now, but it looks crazy. It looks crazy just to think that, oh my God, I didn't, you know, I wasn't able to talk to girls before. Really, it was.
Yeah. So your experiences, I take it, helped push you to come out of your shell.
Totally. Mm-hmm. Totally. It just, I was myself exposing myself. And actually that was the reason why I eventually was confident enough to be out there and to keep on doing things. And yeah, I mean, I've been in auditoriums with over 1,000 people, and that's unthinkable of me with 17 years old. That's like impossible, like totally impossible. Just thinking about what the others are going to think about me, that would like cut any single thought of me having an additional visibility into the world. Impossible. So no, I think that pushing myself all the time, pushing myself. Also, I think that going to college, besides having fun, I think that also it's a great personal development experience if you have the right people around you, because you start, you know, having more responsibility, doing more things. The things that you do have, you know, more outreach and more visibility. People see more what you do, and I think that there's an important personal development part on going to college that I think that we should be able to bring that to our kids in a younger age in the rest of the educational system. That's my thought.
What generally happens when you go to college is you have to like meet new people. Like you don't bring your friend group with you. So you're out of your comfort zone and you have to like make something of yourself. And then if you like what you did, if you're going to other countries or you're doing study abroads, you're again broadening your exposure to so many things and experiences, and you're putting yourself out there where it's not easy. I mean, like, you have to find your way around in a town you've never been in before. You have to try and communicate when you maybe don't speak the language. I mean, that is really putting yourself out there, and it helps you grow. I think it is a fantastic experience for people.
It is, and it should be done more and more and more. I mean, that's why, right now, all these restrictions for traveling internationally, oh my God, I mean, this is going to have a toll on our society, and obviously on our kids as well, because they will be deprived from learning from other cultures. And isn't it funny how we now realize the blessings that we had before? Isn't it funny how many things we could do and we didn't give any importance or the value that they really have?
It's very true.
It's very true. And this is, I mean, and right. And when we have kids, we always think the same way, right? I mean, we would like them to do at least what we have done, right? At least what we have accomplished.
That's very true.
It's true, right? But we are overlooking other stuff, other things that, again, that's why I always would tell my younger me, hey, take more risks, take more risks, take more risks. Risk yourself, because again, it's all, the life is to be lived, period.
And I like the thing of just thinking it's a choice. You've made a choice, and if it doesn't feel right and it didn't work out, then you just make another choice and you try something else and see what that feels like. And just keep trying.
Yeah, absolutely. Exactly. Keep trying. And it's good to try, it's good to try. It's good to make mistakes. I don't know. I mean, I even the first time ever I spent more than one day abroad was when I was 13 years old. I went to the UK for a summer. And in the same group that we went to the UK to learn English, there was my cousin and my sister, both females. And I said, I don't want to talk with you. I really want, no, honestly, I said, I want to make the best of this experience. I don't want to be on the same house as any other Spanish speaking person here in this school. We went to Scarborough, the north of England, North Yorkshire in the UK. And thanks to that I was totally embedded into that English family with 3 kids, totally embedded with my roommate, who was a Swedish guy. Thanks to all that pressure that I put on myself, after 30 days, Lanie, I was able to speak English without translating. So
amazing.
In 30 days, when I was 13 years old, in 30 days, I was able to go from, I translate absolutely everything I'm saying in English to a place where I didn't have to translate it. Obviously, I don't translate anything.
That's
now,
amazing.
So that's why, putting ourselves into experiences, that there's a good side, that also maybe we have to make an effort, but let's still do it. Really, let's still do it. It is what it is, let's still do it. So anyway, that's
very, very good. Can you tell me, give me a background then of how your business career evolved?
Yeah. So basically, I started, when I was still in Europe, I had different jobs while I was in college, and that gave me experience and gave me resources which were important. My first job in the college was actually teaching the administrative staff of the same college, using the WordPerfect and these different there's different tools that existed at that time. And I made a lot of money doing that. That was literally my first well-paid job. And then after that, when I finished college, I did, as I told you already, I didn't really like computer engineering. So I actually took an international position for the rector. A rector in a university in Europe or in Spain is basically like the president, like the number one authority of a university, of a college, is the rector. So he had an opening for international relations, and I took the position. And they picked me because I spoke French and English. And what a amazing experience. Like, instead of going straight to work as a computer engineer, which I detested, right? I went to work in international relations. So I was able to speak the language, and I was able to have all those trips in Europe first and then to the Americas, establishing, agreements with other schools and universities, and establishing exchange student programs, all these kind of things. Nothing related to my degree, but I really had a lot of fun, and I really liked it, and it really allowed me to travel a lot to many different countries and to make really very nice, acquaintances. I mean, it was really nice. And after that, there was a headhunter that came, and they hired me as a project director for an audiovisual company. And after that, it was when I decided to actually go abroad. And there was an opening in the #1 newspaper in Madrid. There was I don't know how I saw that ad. For some reason, I was looking at that newspaper from Madrid, being in Barcelona. And I saw that ad, and I said, well, I'm going to send my resume. And they loved my resume, and they actually paid me the ticket to go to Madrid for the interview. And they picked me. They chose me, which was amazing. I said, wow, okay, good. So I'm going to go, and again, I'm going to go and live for a while. And then that was already that represented my longest ever, stay abroad. And I started to travel to the US because the company was American. So I was in the UK, living in the UK and traveling to America. And thanks to one of my trips to America, actually, I decided that I wanted to go to work in Latin America. So I asked my managers in London if they would allow me to relocate to Mexico. And they said, yes, why not? So they actually, 3 months later, that was in 2001, I was already living in Mexico City. Again, another experience, another amazing experience, and traveling all over the place and having all those amazing experiences. And I started traveling to Central America, and I stayed with them until 2003, more or less. And then I started working with a mid-sized engineering company from Spain who had presence in Mexico. And I met so many amazing people in the Mexican government. And then I went back to the same sector, same industry, high-tech industry, working for another American company out of Mexico. And then that same high-tech company offered me to come to the US in 2010. And I left corporate America in 2016. That was kind of my entire journey as a corporate person. And then in 2016, I started both my own consulting business and my nonprofit organization, along with 2 friends of mine.
Okay, so tell us about the current company then that you
Yes. Yeah, so basically my brand is the CEO Confidant. And what we do is we help both accomplished entrepreneurs and corporate CEOs. We help them bridge the gap globally for expansion and exposure as a way to accelerate the growth of their businesses. So as you very well said in the beginning, I've worked in more than 33 countries, finding clients and developing business. So I decided to do that by myself when I left corporate America in 2016. So today we offer a series of services. We offer, business development. We offer marketing to help companies or entrepreneurs to go to a specific geographic area that they wish to go. And we have a very strong presence online. We are very active online, and we post almost every single day. If you go online, we're very, very active on LinkedIn, where basically our clients and the clients of our clients are. And we use our influence to help other organizations to have a better outreach. And so it's basically, sales and marketing for those corporations. It's not we don't deal with specific industries or specific kinds of entrepreneurs. We basically work with business leaders, both entrepreneurs or corporate, that really want to change the world, really want to leave a legacy, and really want to change themselves. Those are the 3 ingredients. So we don't go for specific industries, but rather for a specific people, specific profile of people. Because as you can imagine, after everything I've shared with you, we really like to live. We would like to leave a better place, this planet a better place. And that's why we engage with people that want to do the same thing as we want to.
Yeah, beautiful.
That's
a great mission. It's a good mission.
Thank you. Thank you, Lanie.
I hope more. I think the world's changing. I think we are becoming more kind and wanting to help each other more, and learning that the more you help somebody, the more it comes back to you.
I agree. I think that there's being a lot. I call it the silent revolution. I think really that, and also after what has happened right now, it's April 2021. After what has happened for the last 12 to 14 months, I think that really a lot of people want to do good in this world. They're probably not in the media, right? But I think that there's more and more people that want to care about us and to care. I mean, that really acknowledges that we are human beings, and with our flaws and with our, virtues, we're still human beings, and we all want to help each other, period. And nobody can change that.
You said you have programs, you have marketing programs and things like that, but when they want to go into another country, you know a lot about like the government and the hoops and things and the paperwork. That's things that you help them with as well.
That's a great question. So there's other companies that do that for us. We don't do, we don't do the legal part. We don't do the HR. We don't do the taxing thing. Okay. There's a lot of things around going international that you described very well. And we don't do that side. We only do the business development and marketing side, what we call the expansion and the exposure. The rest, we already have local partners or international partners that can help with recruitment, staffing, legal, all those things.
Okay, got it. Yeah. So you're looking at their products and their sales force and the overall company, and you're looking for ways to help them, pursue into that new market or raise their profit.
Exactly. So we analyze their current product or service offering, and again, it can be like companies or it can be entrepreneurs who have a very small size business, or even we've worked also with solopreneurs. So we look at their offer, and then we decide what makes sense and where. So it's more about analyzing what they are offering. How can we take it from where they are today to another place, to another country, to another geography? What are the steps that they have to follow? How will their service and product adapt to that new situation? We help them start testing the waters in that particular, country or set of countries. And then we take it from there. But yes, it's all about getting in touch with the market as soon as possible. That would be kind of our spirit. That's what we really help them do.
So it's generally a pretty established product or service before they're ready to go into another country?
Not necessarily. That's a great question, because there are some entrepreneurs who sometimes they think to themselves, maybe I could take this, globally. They have to have obviously the resources to do that. Not everybody has the resources available to go international, but if they have the resources, absolutely. People tend to think sometimes mistakenly that being online, if their service is online, then they're already global. And that's a mistake. That's not true. That's really not true. That's not, there's many more things than just I'm global, I'm online, and then it means that I can talk to anybody that understands my language. That's not true. As you've asked me many questions about culture, that's why culture is culture. And we talk about culture not only of countries, we talk about culture even in companies, right? And we talk even culture, as you know, it's not the same to do business in Texas than to do business in Illinois, right? This is a reality. And I have met a lot of business owners that they struggle just taking their business from one state to another state, because there's different things that you have to take into account, right? So it's the exact same thing. It's just a matter of having a conversation and testing the waters and testing the product and services in that particular geography, obviously with the right customization of that product, the right localization, and the right partnerships. And that's something that we have worked heavily, like how to get to a particular market with those specific, partners that we already have there. Because again, it's not like reinventing the wheel all the time. It's going there with someone that has already worked with us, and we already know that's going to provide good services.
Yeah,
that's important.
A lot that you don't even realize that's good.
Yeah. When you do that all the time, again, practice makes mastery, right? So when you do something over and over and over again, and you do it in, good times and bad times, then you learn lots of things, and then you are able to help other people that want to do the same.
What made you want to help people grow their businesses?
really, in the beginning was because the companies I was working with, that's what we would do. Nobody would ever invest in us unless there was a benefit for them, right? And the benefit was helping them grow their businesses. Then when you start telling people that what you do helps them grow their business, obviously you have to understand what growing business means. You see there's this common denominator in my life, like really exposing myself. Even if I didn't know how to do something, I exposed myself and I learned how to do it, and then I kind of perfected that. So it's the same thing. So the first, again, I remember the first time, even with the first sales calls I ever made were cold calls, right? And I was calling to many different countries, and I really didn't know how to help them do what they wanted to do. But again, it's asking the right questions and then follow the sales process. And nobody ever is going to buy from you unless they see a benefit for them that outweighs the investment that they're making, right? So the art of selling is, how do you make sure that they keep the enthusiasm while they recover the investment that they made on you? That's the secret of sales. That's the secret of sales. So, and providing them with results, of course. But yeah, and then you realize that growing means many different things, and then you understand, you start understanding the difference between, revenues and profits and cash flow. Those three concepts are very different, and I think it's really important for people to understand the difference. Revenues can be high, but maybe your profits are not good enough, and your cash flow, you don't have available cash flow to do anything, So there's many different things that are there in the equation, and you little by little you learn about them as you go and as you offer products and services to your clients.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Profit, when you're talking about profit, it's so interesting for different companies, because my husband works for a company where the profit can sometimes seems to me very low. Sometimes it might even be 15%. But in retail, I feel like the profit margin is 50%. So do you think it does matter based on the industry, or is there like a general, profit margin that really makes sense per company?
That's a great question. The people that work on, let's say, business development, they know that every industry has different standards. So yes, and also the people in the investment world, the angel investors, the VCs, they know exactly what is a good return on investment for their money and for their time, obviously. So yes, so every single sector, every single industry has a different, let's say, standard. So, but the thing is what you do with those profits, right? The thing is, how do you, besides giving obviously the value to the shareholders that were the ones that risked their money, right? And risk everything to put that company in place. Also, I think it's important to see for every single company what they do with their profits, and also there's a lot to be said on that respect as well. And also because sometimes people, and you already have someone in the family who is familiar with the profits of the company he works with, but very often also, unfortunately, large corporations are being told, no, it's bad to have profits, and I think that they're employing thousands and thousands of people, and at the same time, I think that the issue is not are they having profits. The issue, if there is an issue, is what they do with the profit, right? So if they do good to the community, if they do good for their employees, obviously if they risk the money, they have to have profits, period. Otherwise, how many millions and millions and millions of Americans are, compromising their capital for the good. Point. Exactly, for the good of their communities. They obviously they want to have a higher return than having the money in the bank or invested in the stock market, but at the same time they want to do good. I genuinely think that entrepreneurs, they want to do good in the world.
Yes, that's very true. Yeah. I mean, also really something like you touched on, which was about making sure the employees are paid well. Yeah, it's always amazing to me how a company can make, some big companies like say Amazon or whatever, they make so much money and yet the employees are not making very much money. So I would, that's something I think that businesses need to address, or in the future we need to address. I'll pay people that are making your company be who it is, pay them better from the smallest person up. Because it seems like it's a lot of times it's top heavy. and then there's the people that do a lot of work and they're not making that much money, and the upper management they're making all the money, or they're getting stock options. Like, what's your opinion on that?
I think that people get jobs because of the money, but they stay because of the job, because of the bosses, and because of the culture.
Yes.
Okay, that's what I think. So I think that it's all about engagement. So if you and I were not maybe as well paid, but we really like the culture and we really like what we did in a company, I think that we would stay. Mm-hmm. I prefer that rather than having a discussion with all due respect about the money. I think that I would like to reformulate that question as of how can we make all those companies that make so much money with a culture that has their employees much more engaged. I would like to see that. I would like the people to be much more happy. I would like the people to be much more motivated. People, to wake up in the morning and to really want to go and work at that place, mm-hmm. because that will obviously go back to the community immediately. We'll go back to the relatives, to the families, to the communities, mm-hmm. right? To the schools, everywhere, right? So, and I think that everybody, and in order to do that, I think that the company should do a better effort in training their employees and giving their employees the tools that they need to be happier in the workplace. That's what I think. Mm-hmm. Because if a corporation genuinely cares about their employees, I think that they should really genuinely care about their levels of happiness. Very honestly. And it's not something that it's not naive. And there's plenty of books about management and happiness, and about, selling from the heart, and the happiness. All these kinds of things are more and more often part of the corporate discussion. That's why I'd rather focus myself on mm-hmm. on that trying to, yeah, because I think that all money at the end of the day is going to go at the same. Honestly, I think that if the money contributes enough to the happiness of the employees, mm-hmm. I think that lots of many different changes are going to happen inside the corporation. Mm-hmm. But the problem is when you're trying to keep your employees accountable when they're not engaged. That's an issue.
Yeah. So I do love it when a company lets the employees give their advice of how to make the company run better. So when they're open to that, I think that really helps, and that they act on that. That would be depressing if they're letting them give them their opinion of how things can be done better, but then nothing gets addressed and it stays the same. That wouldn't be good either. Do you work with that? Do you work with companies on the motivation and like the interior company, the way that it's run?
Not specifically, but let me rephrase this. So my starting point is always about expansion and exposure and accelerate the growth. Originally was only international. I ended up doing things more nationally, mm-hmm. Not only internationally. But eventually, business leaders ask me for my opinion on many different things in their companies. It's obvious, right? When you become the trusted advisor for someone, then they ask you. So directly, no. So I would advise these companies to go with someone else that I trust, that I know for sure they're going to do a good job in that area. But obviously, I am the kind of guy that never shuts up. You know what I mean? I always raise my hand. Can I say something? And even if it's inappropriate, I always ask, the same way I give my employees the license to make mistakes. I always ask my clients, do I have the license to make mistakes? And I think it's important because it goes both ways, Lanie. So that's how I handle it. I have the conversation, and I typically bring someone else that could do that. What they do is specifically that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense. Nobody knows everything, and you have a lot of contacts and connections, and that's fantastic. Yeah, because that's their wheelhouse. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you.
Do you want to go into a little more detail about what programs that you're offering then for companies?
Yes, absolutely. So number one, as I said before, the main service that we offer to companies is basically to help them develop their business in another geographical area. Okay. So the first thing we do is typically we sit down, we analyze their products and services. We see which ones would make sense to go where. And then we start talking to our local partners in those countries, and we start, analyzing what could work, what could not work, and what are the right partners to start doing certain things, right? We do that both with corporations, with companies, but also with the small business owners and with entrepreneurs. The most important thing is that they all have the resources to do it. Exposure is very important for us. That's why we keep on growing our following online and the following with the right kind of audience. We have, just to give you an example, of the 28,000 connections I have on LinkedIn, 82% are senior executives on those companies. So this is a lot. So we use that, and we actually offer companies not only to expose their messaging, their services, and their products on our platforms, but also directly to these people that we have connections with. So we offer, let's say it's like, these famous influencers, that they show some products online. So we do the same thing, obviously, in a completely different way. But we use our exposure and our credibility online to publicize the services and the products of our clients. So let's say, for instance, as it's the case, let's say a luxury brand that they know that we have access to this community of high-level executives, and they want to offer them a specific thing with a specific pricing, let's say, or a specific product, right? That's something that we do. Or a company that wants to access a specific profile of C-level executives, and they want to send a specific message to these people. We not only use our platform and our posting and our articles, but also what we do is we send direct messages to these people that already have a connection with us. So it's all about capitalizing all those relationships and connections that we have developed throughout time. You have to think that we are in continuous conversations with these people. We literally have hundreds of conversations every single week with this audience of tens of thousands of people every single week. Because otherwise it's a cold audience, and a cold audience it does not serve myself or my clients either. So that's really important. So it's basically, again, it's two sides. It's marketing services and using our influence to go after a specific market, or is using our business development services to find clients, to find or create distribution channels, distribution networks, value-added reseller networks in other geographies. Those are basically, at a high level, the services that we provide to our clients.
Do you offer a community where they're able then to talk to each other and ask each other for guidance?
That's a great question. No, we don't do that. We have thought of doing it a few times. Maybe we do it in the future. But our experience has been, because we are part of many groups and many communities, you have to, people have a lot of different distractions throughout the day. So, so I think that we are in the way of finding exactly the way to do it so that it really brings value to these people and it's worth their time.
Yeah.
But it's a matter of, I think we have to go step by step. But it's a great question. There's a lot of, I'm myself being invited to a lot of different C-level executive communities. And I don't accept all the invites because I just don't have the bandwidth. And I don't see the value on every one of them. We're very picky about what we use our time for. And remember, it's not about the money, it's about the time. The time is the only resource, a scarce resource that we really have to deal with every single day.
Have you made any videos or teaching videos or things like that then that people can pay to watch and learn? Oh,
there's a lot of them. There's actually, with my clients, this is not like an open podcast or something like this. But what we have done, and I appreciate the question, what we have done is, with our clients, we offer them the service to, have conversations, and then we put all those conversations on our platform. Our platform is called the CEO Confidant TV, and you can go to YouTube, you can go to Facebook, and we continuously post those videos on LinkedIn as well. And then you can get, so we believe that, again, there's so many courses out there that the conversations are much more powerful right now. So for instance, our conversation today, which is totally unique, regardless of the number of conversations I might have had before, this is a totally unique conversation. And I think that we are going to be able to probably inspire a certain community of people.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, this lesson of today, thanks to you and your kindness for asking me those questions, we are definitely teaching people things. We are sharing knowledge. And I think that this is the right way to share knowledge. I'm a little bit skeptical. I mean, I myself have bought, you name it, I don't know how many courses, 5, 10, 15 courses. I don't know. I have probably forgotten most of them, you know. But I think that a course, a particular course, is only as good as you are able to bring the audience consistently to it. Just yesterday, I was talking with a friend of mine in corporate. They have this huge university inside their corporation, right? They can go to a specific vault and they get all those courses. What is the reality? Who gets those courses? Nobody. Nobody has time to take those courses. Nobody. So why offering courses if you don't have the right model of engagement and to keep those people accountable? And unfortunately, there's a lot of internal universities that have hours and hours and hours and hours of knowledge, but is this knowledge consistently engaged by the employees? Is consistently used and learned and put into practice? Right. The reality is no. I mean, I was working with large corporations. Their universities were awesome, but how often would they go there? Unless there was a certification or there was a deadline that was keeping me accountable.
Yeah.
You know, and I mean, I don't know about your personal story, but what about your husband? You mentioned your husband earlier today. I'm sure that they have some sort of learning system internally, right? How often do you see him every single weekend, like 2 hours every Saturday, 2 hours on Sunday?
Oh, that's true.
Engaged on learning something, or he rather caring for a specific project or a specific client or a specific, right? I mean, we're humans.
Exactly. You would have to pay them for their time. And then even then it's making them probably do something they don't want to do. Yeah. So you're right. They'd have to be engaged and want to learn that. Mm-hmm.
That's why I said before, I think that when we are it's very easy to criticize corporations about the money that they invest or they don't invest. But in reality, for me, the most important key performance measure is the happiness of the employees.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would assume that's a question that you ask about, is there employee turnover?
Yeah, of course. That's a great question to ask, obviously. It tells you everything. And actually these days you can even go to LinkedIn and you can see the turnover. It's so funny. So,
yeah,
I mean,
but the world is changing too. Like, I feel like a lot of people don't stay at companies for very long anymore. Would you agree with that?
Yes, obviously, I would say probably that our generations, people are still staying for a long time, but younger generations, not at all. Not at all.
Yeah.
But I remember when I was in my last corporate engagement, there were people there that had been working. I left with almost 11 years at that company, and that was a long time. But there were people that had already worked there for almost 27 years, 28 years. Wow, that's half of your life? Oh my God. Yeah. That's a long time. I don't see that happening today with the Gen Zs and Gen Ys. I don't see that happening. We'll see. I mean, I think that I was reading a very interesting stat the other day. 76% of CEOs of large corporations today are really concerned, 76%, about how they are going to upskill their employee force. How are they going to help their employees learn new skills that they don't have today? 76%. 3 out of 4 CEOs today have this concern. No wonder.
Yeah. And then on top of that, just going back to education, I mean, like whatever almost anybody studies in college, they rarely are using that in their field of work or line of work, or even what they studied, they aren't bringing that, what they learned, like, you know, say they studied bioengineering, but then they go work at a bioengineering and it's not really what they learned. It's learning. Everything is learning on the job. You agree?
Oh, totally agree.
Yeah.
Totally. I mean, just think, everybody out there that has studied any degree or anything, how much of that really help you move the needle when you get into a job? How much? That's why I would always hire for attitude as opposed to skills, because at the end of the day, I can teach the skills to people. I can teach them, I can train them, but if they have the right skill, the right, attitude, they will stay with me. If I am the right boss, obviously, if I'm the right boss, if I treat them well, if I really care about them, they will stay. If not, they will be gone soon.
Yeah.
That's the reality. So, it's a two-way street. It's not only a one-way street. It's not like, it's not that I have the capital and I have the, have the positions open and the openings for you, and then you will come. No. It's going to be more and more challenging for corporations to have the right talent working for them.
What life advice would you like to share?
I would definitely like to share that even if we think that life is long, I think that when you in retrospect, you look at your life and you realize that you probably might have taken a lot of many different ways and pathways and risks that you didn't take. That's why I always like to recommend people, hey, if something feels good, just take it. Just take it. And then you will always be able to go back if you have to. But, use your discernment rather than your judgment. Use discernment to decide what you want to do with your life and the opportunities that are presented to you. But people that you like and you trust, and opportunities and companies that you like and you trust, take them. Even if you had a different plan in place, really take it and see what happens. So what was that skill that you had to learn by taking that new path that you took? And then when you grow up and maybe you marry someone, or you start your life with someone else, and then you might have an extended family, maybe you cannot do those things. How many times have we, maybe when we grow up and we have a family, we said, we cannot do that any longer. We cannot relocate so easily, right? We cannot take those risks any longer. That's why, please, everybody listening to us, whenever you can, take risks and enjoy life. That's my main piece of advice.
And what would you say to people who are older and they feel like they're not worthwhile to go get a job? They kind of feel like lost. What would you tell that person?
That is a great question. And it's the same question that I ask entrepreneurs when they are asking me to pivot, to reinvent themselves. It's the exact same thing. Listen to me, because no matter what the others say about you, your experience in your life is unique. The series of experiences, of events, of initiatives, of projects, you name it, everything that you've done in your life is unique. So even if you want to provide your services or your advice for free as a mentor, go out there, look for these people that still need to learn. We all need to learn. We all need things to learn. All of us, everybody, no matter who, no matter how successful the CEO of the most successful company in the world, your talents, your gifts, your experience is so unique that there's always going to be people out there, and I see this every single day, there's always going to be people out there that need to listen what you have to offer. Always, all the time. So I understand that you might be fearful. I understand that you might be conservative in the let's say taking risks, not in the political side of it. I understand that you might be on the fence for something, but hey, really, just get out of where you are today. I understand where you are, but you have to understand also that there's a lot of people out there that need you. There's lots of things that you can do. There's lots of things that you can contribute to in your world, in your community that you don't know about, that are there, and only you can help get done. So I would really encourage them to take the spur, as I said before, take the imperfect action. Take one imperfect action today. Get out of your comfort zone. Use the passion and the expertise that you have inside of you, and you will realize that you're really making, someone's day, really, because there's a lot of wisdom needed. There's nothing which is wasted, nothing. And as you know, when we were kids, we were learning this property, right, or this principle, this universal principle that energy is never wasted; it's always only transformed. With knowledge, is the exact same thing. It's the exact same thing. So everybody that thinks that their experience or knowledge is worthless, they are so wrong. It can be transformed to beautiful things in the hands of the right people. Just start exploring those paths. That's it.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Totally.
One more thing that I like to ask people is, what do you feel humanity needs to work on to make our world a better place?
Acceptance. 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 That would be my number one. I think that we should accept each other as we are much more, that we should be more compassionate with each other and with ourselves. I think that that would be a good starting point. I could tell you many other things, but I think that that would be a very good starting point. Acceptance.
Yeah. I'm working on that. I've been like reading things where it talks about every day you just accept what's happening because it's already been created and you can't change it. So, or another way is forgiving because that's just the way it is. You know, we tend to judge so much. So it's like letting go. If you accept it, you're not judging, and then you're forgiving. Yeah. And then you're being kind.
Exactly. And, you know, it's going to yourself, go to your heart, go to your heart. We genuinely, we spoke about this before. I genuinely think that there's more and more people. There's this silent revolution of people doing good in the world that there will never be, in social media or in the media in general, the mainstream media, but it's in there and it's increasing. It's increasing. About everything that's going on in the world right now, I think that people are really making a difference. There's a lot of people making a difference in the world every single day, doing good things every single day, doing good, being good and doing good every single day.
Yeah, well, we need to seek that out and appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Like turn off the other stuff. Like don't even listen to the other stuff. It brings you down. It makes you feel bad.
Absolutely.
So if it makes you feel bad, why are you listening to it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah.
All right. So how can people get in touch with you, Angel?
Yeah, the easiest way is to send me an email, and my email address is angel, ANGEL, @angelribo.com. Ribo is my last name, is 4 letters, R-I-B as in boy, O. Again, my email address is angel@angelribo.com. If you go to LinkedIn, you will see me there every day, and to Instagram, to Facebook, to Twitter, to WhatsApp, you name it, to Telegram. Every single day, you will see me there posting things and helping people and connecting people as I typically do every single day.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing about yourself.
Absolutely.
I enjoyed interviewing you.
Thank you. Likewise. Thank you. I really enjoyed this conversation with you, Lanie. Thank you very much for having me today. It's been a real pleasure. This hour and something else has fly. It was, but really, I mean, it's amazing how when you have a nice conversation and interesting conversation, time flies. And obviously, thank you everybody who's been watching us.